This is going to blow your mind. China, the world's rising superpower, just walked away from the West Philippine Sea. But why is no one talking about the real reason behind this shocking retreat? On November 25th, 2025, the world was stunned. China was leaving the West Philippine Sea. The announcement was brief, almost surreal. For years, China's grey ships had dominated these waters. Now they were ordered home. The official statement spoke of operational realignment, but few believed it was voluntary. This was a retreat, an unprecedented reversal. In the Philippines, disbelief spread as the news broke. Superpowers don't just walk away from decades of investment, yet confirmation came swiftly. Chinese state media repeated the line, emotionless. The world was left asking, what could force such a dramatic move? The truth was a perfect storm. Crisis in Beijing, economic freefall, and a technological disaster. Even the mightiest can fall, and sometimes they fall overnight. The world watched as the dragon pulled back its claws. The West Philippine Sea, once a flashpoint, was suddenly quiet. This is how it happened, and why it changed everything. The first fracture came from within Beijing, not from protest, but from a ruthless purge. A new faction saw the West Philippine Sea as a costly humiliation, not a triumph. The purge was swift. Generals loyal to the old guard were arrested. A secret memo ordered the end of high-risk foreign operations. The new leadership, led by the enigmatic economist, was driven by numbers, not ideology. Artificial islands became liabilities, not assets. The new rulers understood. A nation rotting from within cannot project power abroad. Loyalists were replaced. State media and the military brought under new control. Inside the Forbidden City, a civil war of ideology raged, and the pragmatists won. The cost of pride had become too high. The coup was complete. The coup was fueled by a single, devastating truth: economic catastrophe. The West Philippine Sea had become a trillion-dollar disaster. The costs, ships, islands, endless patrols, were only the beginning. Fuel, repairs, and constant wear turned China's fleet into a ghost armada. Powerful on paper, but crumbling in reality. Collisions and breakdowns, hidden from the public, drained resources at an unsustainable rate. International corporations, wary of instability, quietly shifted supply chains away from China. Trade rerouted, strangling the economy in slow motion. The new leaders saw the writing on the wall. Another trillion could be lost if nothing changed. The West Philippine Sea was a bluff, one that risked war with the US and its allies over scraps of land and fishing rights. China couldn't afford a fight, nor the economic collapse that loomed. The choice was stark retreat or risk sinking the entire state. The decision was made. The Ghost Fleet would return home. The era of unchecked expansion was over. The cost of pride had nearly sunk the nation. The retreat was not just strategic, it was survival. The world would soon see the consequences. The trillion-dollar lesson was learned the hard way. As China faltered, a new force quietly rose. An alliance built on whispers, not warships, led by the Philippines. ASEAN nations, once divided, united against a common threat. Secret meetings forged a consensus act as one, not with arms but with economic and diplomatic power. Australia, Japan and the EU joined as partners. The plan to isolate China by rerouting trade and exposing its actions to the world. A regional trade bloc offered stability, drawing business away from China. An information campaign revealed environmental damage and harassment at sea, painting China as a bully. The alliance never threatened war, it simply acted in concert. Economic pressure mounted, squeezing Beijing as it struggled with internal chaos. China could no longer divide and conquer. The alliance's subtlety was its strength. The cost of aggression became unbearable. The region stood united, and China faced a wall of resistance. The alliance of whispers succeeded where navies could not. The price of China's ambition was now too high to pay. With China's economy in crisis and its leadership shaken, a secret meeting in Geneva became the turning point. Brokered by the UN, it was billed as a routine maritime discussion, but it was anything but. On one side, China's new pragmatic envoys. On the other, a unified ASEAN led by the Philippines. The offer, economic relief and eased sanctions, in exchange for a full Chinese withdrawal from the West Philippine Sea. For Beijing's new leaders, it was a lifeline, a way to save face and stabilize the nation. The negotiations were tense, lasting 36 hours. China pushed for concessions, but ASEAN held firm. Desperation won out. A secret memorandum was signed. China would withdraw within 48 hours. ASEAN would begin economic normalization. The Geneva Gambit worked. The war ended without a shot. Diplomacy, not force, had prevailed. The world watched as a new order emerged. The West Philippine Sea was about to change forever. As diplomats bargained in Geneva, disaster struck China's navy at sea. In a last-ditch effort to show strength, China deployed a new AI fleet management system. It was meant to be a technological marvel until it failed catastrophically. A software bug triggered by solar flares and radar interference caused the AI to issue chaotic, contradictory orders. Crews were locked out, ships collided, ran aground, and caught fire. In 6 hours, nearly 40% of China's active fleet was disabled or sunk. Satellite images of the chaos went viral, humiliating Beijing. The cost of repairs was astronomical, money China no longer had. The AI disaster was the final blow, a symbol of overreach and hubris. The great navy was undone not by enemies but by its own ambition. The retreat became inevitable. The world saw the limits of technology and unchecked power. China's maritime dream ended in digital disaster. The sea was lost before a single shot was fired. Political chaos, economic collapse, diplomatic isolation, and naval disaster left Beijing with no choice. The surrender was spun as a strategic realignment, but the world saw the truth. Satellite images showed Chinese warships turning for home, artificial islands abandoned. Helicopters evacuated personnel, flags were lowered. The bases, built at enormous cost, were left to the sea. In the Philippines, fishermen returned to their ancestral waters. Cautiously at first, then with growing confidence. The transition was peaceful. ASEAN patrols moved in, not to conquer, but to reclaim. There was no victory parade, only relief and resolve. Leaders called for calm and stability, not gloating. The Great Retreat was a moment of profound significance. It proved that unity and law could prevail over force. Smaller nations had stood up to a superpower and won. The 72-hour collapse was over. A new chapter was beginning. The world had changed. The lesson would not be forgotten. In the aftermath, a new reality dawned over the West Philippine Sea. Filipino fishermen returned to abundant waters, their livelihoods restored. Coastal communities thrived. Hope replaced fear. ASEAN's unity, forged in crisis, became its strength. A joint maritime patrol force protected the sea and its environment. Abandoned Chinese bases turned into research centers, symbols of peace. ASEAN emerged as a true regional power, united and confident. China turned inward, focusing on rebuilding and reform. The dream of maritime empire was gone. Domestic challenges took priority. The world took note. Economic power and unity could outmatch military might. The peaceful resolution became a model for others. The new dawn was not just for ASEAN, but for the world. A better, more peaceful future seemed possible. Peace returned, but the scars remained. Abandoned islands crumbled, monuments to failed ambition. Debates raged. Dismantle them or turn them into marine sanctuaries. China's ghost fleet sat idle, a costly reminder of overreach. The new leadership stabilized the nation, but their long-term goals remained unclear. Power shifted from military might to economic and technological influence. The world, though relieved, stayed vigilant. The retreat was not the end, just the end of a chapter. The lesson: true strength lies in unity, wisdom, and cooperation. The empty seas and silent bases are a testament to this truth. In the contest of nations, it's not always the loudest who win. In the end, knowledge and unity matter most.